All right, Spider-Man Homecoming, directed by John Watts and starring Tom Holland. So we're doing a spoiler talk today, and I'm here with Daniel.
Yeah, that's my name. Don't wear it out.
So pretty good movie.
Yeah, not bad. All things considered. Like the way that starts out, how it you can really tell that Marvel's involved in this one because there's tons of Marvel stuff.
Oh yeah, Avengers left and right. Like they make sure to let you know this is in the Avengers universe. Well, and it's actually like a pivotal plot point for Spider-Man.
Well, and the villain. Really the beginning of the movie is more for the villain than it is for
Yeah,
Spider-Man because it's like his backstory on why he's doing everything.
I like that because it really builds up the villain's character and his motivation, and he gets his weapons and everything from the world that they're in, and I liked that.
Yeah, thinking about it now, my biggest issue that I kind of have with it is the whatever they call the organization that picks everything up.
Damage control.
Right, damage control.
Yeah,
Right. Isn't that Shield?
I guess maybe it's what Shield used to be.
Because in Shield they show Shield agents doing all that. Like legit, the episode that comes out that intertwined with Dark World,
Oh,
it shows them picking up stuff, after like the fight with there. So
I don't even know. I haven't even watched that show for a while now.
well, that was way back, like I said, when Thor
Oh.
Dark World came out. Like the next
Oh yeah, that is way
episode,
back.
the next episode that happened was it showed them picking up stuff around there. So it's like, doesn't Shield like watch all of that and take care of everything like that?
I guess they have their own like company now. Well, no, I think it's now that they're a part of the government. Now the government has instituted this group to clean up after these messes of these contracted or whatever.
Right, and I could understand if
superheroes.
it's a thing that they came into afterwards, but Shield was still established right after the Avengers movie. They were still all there, so and that's when this damage control stuff came, and Vulture threw a hissy fit that they were taking his work, and you would think that he would be able to get stipends for the city going back on its contract. Like that was my
Right,
first thought.
yeah.
I was like, dude, don't you have you have a contract?
Exactly.
They're null and voiding your contract. Tell them you want to get paid for it. You should get a decent paycheck out of this null and void. Like if you tell them, isn't that what contracts are for? Is to protect you for that type of stuff?
No, that was the last straw. So he's gonna weaponize his scraps that he had from the previous day and freaking fuck shit up.
Listen, I'm just really glad that we got this techie construction worker guy who knows a lot about computers. I mean, obviously, this fat construction worker over here off to the side that's just a giant nerd, he's our tech genius that can figure out how to weaponize all this stuff.
Yep.
When very few people in the universe, on the world can.
Yeah.
This guy, who's a construction worker on the side, that's his main job.
Yeah. That's what he does for money. What he does on the side is create YouTube videos on how to tech. And he's all about the high altitude tech.
Right, that's his love.
No, but that was cool. I liked that build up a lot, but the initial little bit of motivation there was a little bit weak to me. But I did like his backstory, and like you said, he could have just gotten because he had a contract with them.
Right. He's like, I have a contract. It's like, well, that contract doesn't count with alien tech now from now on. It's like,
What?
okay, you verify, you change the contract. Freddie, you don't change it again. Well, I'm going to the city and I'm suing the city over that. I have every right to, that's one of those things where it's like, I feel like tons of stuff like that probably happened after like 9/11.
Yeah, not to just hit the, yeah.
Like, I feel like that's kind of what they were going for was like a post 9/11 construction thing, where any of the guys like, oh, it looks like you extended yourself too much. No, that's like what the one government agent says to him.
Right.
Is,
Dick.
yeah, you bought a bunch of trucks for this job, because it's a huge job. I think you overextended yourself. Maybe you shouldn't do that in the future. It's like, yeah, no, you're lucky that all he did is punch you.
No kidding. I would have kicked him in the nuts. Asshole. It's like that's his livelihood there, and you're fucking saying stuff. That guy should be fired.
Right? It really is. Like, that was my whole thing. I'm like, hey, dude, if you got a contract, sue the fuck out of the city.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you brought up the 9/11 stuff because that's a little bit how they've been, doing this whole. What do they call it? The Invasion Day,
the
or
Shatari
something? New York
attack.
incident.
Yeah, the New York
incident. Yeah. So that's interesting how they've been treating that. But I really liked the Vulture's. Michael Keaton did an awesome job. I really liked his character throughout this whole movie, and I think they did a really cool character arc with him, and stayed consistent with his character, even though his motivations might be a little bit weak.
His motivations for me kind of go back and forth, because I understand where he's coming from. He's a construction worker. He lost the contract, so it's like, what we'll do? We'll sell this stuff on the side. We'll show them. We'll black market it, and that'll get us through for a while. I thought it was interesting how he went from basically law-abiding citizen, keeping his nose clean, because there's the one part where Spider-Man's scanning him with the suit, and it pops up. It's like no criminal record. It's like, really, no criminal record? That dude never got in a bar fight, or
anything,
nothing
citation.
like that. Like, okay, like I could understand facial recognition isn't gonna pop him up on like a speeding ticket.
America's Most Wanted.
Right, but you would think he would still, construction workers can do some stuff every once in a while. Not all of them, but no one on his crew, was kind of iffy.
Like, you think some of his associates or people he's known to be associated with would pop up on there,
right,
too.
I'm just saying, construction's a grimy, dirty job, and not that, construction workers are bad. However, they probably have a record. It's pretty easy for construction guys to go out to a bar, get a little too rowdy.
Not to stereotype construction workers. If you're a construction worker, that is okay with us.
My uncle's a construction worker. He's been known to get really drunk and get in bar fights. I'm just saying that there's a certain type of guy that's a construction worker, especially in New York. New Yorkers are just prone to fights anyway.
Hey, I'm working here.
I'm just saying, I get that he was careful with his guys, but still, you're telling me that he's never had anything to where, that. And why isn't Tony Stark going into the DOL, the Department of Licensing? Are you telling me he can't bring up, driver's license photos? Right? You would think that his...
Well, you can just do it in a suit of armor, probably.
Right, but that's what you would think his computer system would be able to look into that, too. If they're trying to get facial recognition.
Anyway, yeah, so he basically went pretty quick to becoming a businessman, doing his construction business, to a black market, guy selling high-tech weapons to gangsters, basically.
I mean, I'm sure it took him a while to get there, because they did, the 5-year jump or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But still...
8 years.
Or 8-year jump, wow. Yeah. But still, the fact that's these last 8 years, man, you went from just selling some of the stuff on the side to weaponizing it and selling the weapons. For a guy that has never had a criminal record, you found and took to that pretty quickly.
Yeah, seriously. And then he goes ahead and kills his worker guy after he fires him. And then he's like, he has no criminal record, so he's never killed anybody before. And he's just picks up his thing. He's like, here. Well, here, you be the shocker now.
to his to go in and try to help him there. It's, he did think it was the anti-gravity gun, not the fucking vaporizer.
So it was accidental manslaughter or whatever.
It was attempted hurt.
Yeah.
I just wanted to anti-grav him onto the ceiling or maybe into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to disintegrate him.
Whoops.
Oh, well.
Maybe they should label their guns. Do they not have a label maker of all that tech?
Oh, no. The one fat, nerdy guy that makes everything for them. That's all he
He's
does.
naturally curious, so he looks at everybody's phone when they ring.
Right.
I think they did a good job with this villain overall. And I liked his suit, too. His wings were really cool. They made him look powerful. And with the, what do you call it? The propellers?
Spinners,
whatever, and they made them make sense within a real world
copter.
Kind of
technically
thing.
It's a copter, like quadcopters are.
Yeah, whatever you call
the
that.
The copter blades.
So I liked how they instead of just giving him wings and saying that he could fly, they're actually giving some technological stuff that makes it make sense a little bit more.
Well, it was nice how they the jacket he wore. He wore a flight jacket. He didn't have it at first. Eventually, he got it, and I like how the fur on it looked like vulture scruff.
Yeah,
I thought that
was cool.
They went a little overboard with it, but because for having it go all the way down, half his chest, open, but it was kind of cool the way that it looked like Vulture scruffed on it. That's a cool costume design that they did.
Yeah, and they update his look and everything, and he still looks like the Vulture while keeping it like realistic, because every time he flew, he puts his like helmet or mask on with the goggles, because when you're flying, you're gonna get wind in your eyes and everything. But anyway, you were earlier you were talking about the grunts.
Yeah, no, I mean his henchmen,
they don't have a lot of development,
right? The one shocker, the first one dies. They're there, but they're a little weak. And the second one,
yeah, and he was like the perfect shocker from the comics, basically,
right? And then the other one basically finds a jacket just like the first guy's. Because it was really
apparently
cool.
Yeah.
The first guy had, like the vintage shocker. Yeah, he had the yellow arms with kind of the black netting going over it, and like the brown coat going to, doing the V down. And then he gets vaporized. And then a little bit later, after, Michael Keaton's like, "You're the shocker now," and throws it to the other guy, randomly the other guy has a jacket that looks just like it.
I know, it was random, because when he gives him the thing, he's wearing his blue vest. I'm like, okay, he'll just wear that blue vest. That's cool. And then later on, yeah, he's got the yellow thing.
Yeah, he's got the yellow jacket. And I'm
that was kind of funny.
Evidently, he just went to the store and bought another one.
Yeah. He's like, I'm the shocker now, so I have to wear the shocker's outfit.
Right, and I really don't care for this, but I'll eventually learn how to use it, because evidently somebody has to. So I thought that was a little weird. And then, like I said, there's the one, their tech guy happens to be a genius, like tech genius.
Was he?
And hacker and weapons maker.
Was he there 8 years? He was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was there from the original.
Right.
From when they first had him. It's like, yeah, no, I'm a construction worker. I help do construction. Maybe I fix...
Maybe he was their alien tech specialist for on-site scavenging.
I could almost see it might make sense if he was like the repair guy to fix all the machinery. Like he just went from being the repair guy for the giant, construction machinery to now I'm going to dig into this alien tech and make weapons out of it for my boss.
That's probably just what it was, yeah.
Also, I happen to be a helicopter engineer. Pretty easy.
And weapons expert.
I can make you a quick jetpack.
Anti-gravity. And the thing that anti-matters walls so that you can reach through walls.
Right, yeah. No, let me look into this. I'm secretly just a true genius. And I just do this construction stuff to make some money on the side.
Why isn't he up there with Tony Stark and Hammer Industries? I don't know. Because this guy can make some freaking awesome
tech. He's finding this tech, man. He's just going to town with it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying about the grunts. I don't think it was obviously it wasn't necessary for them to develop them, but it's just like they're grunts, so you don't really care about them at all. And they're basically like, oh, these guys are just gonna go by the wayside.
They could have at least thrown a throwaway line, like, now we can get, we'll sell this stuff. I'll get you to use that degree that you got at MIT, or like, did you graduate at MIT? And then some other guy like, weren't you disgraced, or like couldn't pay the financial aid went out on me and couldn't pay the bill, so I couldn't continue going. And my dad was a a construction worker,
kept disassembling every school property and shit.
Right, like they could have done just a quick throwaway line, like, how are we even gonna know what to do with this tech? He's like, he did. Didn't you go to MIT for a while? He's like, yeah, I got thrown out because I couldn't keep paying. Had to take this job to go ahead and make all my what college payments I did have. Like that would have been like a good throwaway. And it's like, okay, that guy is really smart. He's not just a dumb idiot.
Yeah. So that guy takes the mantle of the Shocker and then has a pretty cool little fight with Spider-Man, and then we never see him again. Like after everything and the Vulture's in jail, we don't see him again. He must be in jail too, right?
Well,
because he webbed him to a bus.
Right, no, Spider-Man is real big on webbing one hand.
Yeah.
Like that is his go-to move, is I will web one hand to something, which I love because Michael Keaton gets like the one hand webbed like towards the end of the movie, like when he's doing his big monologue thing, and he's like
to the desk,
and then like the first thing he does when his jetpack starts flying around is, quickly grab a knife and cut his hand free. Because Spider-Man only does one hand. He thinks, well, everybody's stuck one hand to the web.
So what's really I thought was funny about that scene is when he webbed his hand, I didn't see his hand there. I just saw the beer bottle fall. So I'm like, why did he just knock it out over his beer bottle?
Right. That's just rude.
Just trying to troll him or something. But yeah, that was cool. So all their fights I thought were pretty cool and well done.
Yeah, they did a really good job. I thought it was really interesting throughout the whole movie because he has the suit from Civil War and he's wearing it and he's doing stuff. And I thought it was kind of funny that throughout the first chunk of the movie, he's not doing anything. Like it's crimes, it's small stuff. It's the stuff.
Snatchers.
It's the first 5 seconds of the trailer that you see of like him getting the guy on the bike and like, oh, I helped out a lady. She gave me a churro. That's what's going on with me.
Are you going to call me? When's our next big mission?
Right, like that's all he's doing. He has this super high tech suit, and he's doing nothing with it.
I can't blame Happy for getting annoyed with him.
Thinking about that is kind of a nitpick I have. He never looked into the suit. Peter Parker's a genius.
That's true. He would have tinkered with it.
He saw, all of the stuff on it. You see later in the movie, him and his friend are going through the suit, all the electronics in the suit.
Taking the tracking device out.
Right. Are you telling me that he never looked into the suit himself? He was never curious enough to look into it?
That's something that the character would definitely do.
Right. I feel like that's something that, he would have eventually, especially if he's so bored for like 2 months, I think it was.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He had 2 months downtime and he never once looked into the suit to see all that stuff.
In fact, he probably would have looked into the suit and like modified it.
Right. Like I get that, he's more of a scientist than a programmer. But still, they did that whole scene in Civil War where it's like, oh, I built a computer out of old VCRs and all that. It's like, yeah, you're right. This kid that doesn't have a computer isn't going to go ahead and see the most high-tech suit he's ever seen and look into it. Or, hey, I have I have this cool web shooters. Let me see these different types of webbing. Like the computer system, when he unlocks it finally.
Impact webbing.
Yeah, it has all these webbing. Like, you have over 500 different variants that you can do for the webbing. He's like, okay, let's try this one. What the fuck are all these webs? It's doing things I don't want to do. Just go back to normal or pick something cool that you might like. I was like, okay, what? He never did that himself?
Yeah, come to think of it, it seems like he would have done that. The whole theme of this is that he's inexperienced and not ready to get all that stuff.
But you're telling me Tony Stark didn't throw him a user's manual, like tinker with this? I thought it was weird that his suit went from having no AI in it to when he unlocked it to full on AI.
Constant
that
AI.
He gives a name and basically flirts with.
How is it powered? That's what I'm like, it doesn't have Stark's thing.
Solar.
That's it.
Solar.
Okay. It's explained. Everybody, Spider-Man's suit is solar powered.
Thank God. Spider-Man goes green, you should too.
Also wind energy. He's swinging. Why not?
Well, he has the webbing that comes out of the armpits for the gliding, so...
Yeah, that'll do it. That reminds me, that monument scene was pretty awesome. Because that was just a basic save people who are in trouble, disaster...
Right, and they alluded to the side the arm webbing earlier when he's talking to the suit. Hey, what else can you do? And it pops out. He's like, cool.
Yeah. All the storytelling in this movie was really good, I thought, and especially that monument scene when he's using actually his climbing ability and he's trying to get up to the elevator and there's this time pressure. It's a really tense scene and he's having to web up there and then he gets to the window finally and he can't break through it because he needs more force behind his punches.
Yeah, well, and also I like that the government cares when you start messing with their monuments.
Yeah, when there's a weird thing climbing on your monument, get a sniper gun up there.
Right? Hey, this is Washington, D.C. You can't just touch it and go around climbing on the monument, Spider-Man.
Yeah, don't fuck with our monuments.
Which is funny because in the previews you see the chopper there, but you really don't recognize that that's the police trying to do their job. You think it's something else.
Or a reporter.
Right. So I like the fact that, there's a lot of little touches in this movie.
A lot of attention to detail.
Right, a lot of attention to detail. It's like, yeah, I like that. Yeah, you know what? If you start climbing on the, Washington State Monument, somebody's going to go out there and tell you to get off it. And I strongly believe that were you to start doing that, yeah, you know what? You'd get about 2 minutes of climbing that monument before they send a chopper after you.
Yeah. Man, that was a tense scene for sure. And the way that it was edited, it was exciting. It was like a hero busts in just in time to web the elevator, but that's not good enough because the elevator's still falling apart, so he has to like do all sorts of other things during this, like, really, you gotta rush and do these things like instantly. So it was a really good situation for Spider-Man.
Well, and it felt like every time, because they did it with the Washington Monument scene, and they did it with the ferry boat scene too. It didn't seem like he saved the day. Oh, something else went wrong. Now he has to resave it. No, it was each time it was like he's there. He kind of saved the day, but he's still inexperienced. So his mess up didn't do it 100%. I thought it was
kind of saved the day, but caused a little bit more problems in the process.
Had he been more well trained or
more experienced,
a little bit more experienced, it's not even that he's being stupid in doing it, because the few things he does make perfect sense. Like the ferry scene, when you see the beginning of the ferry scene, not just in the trailer, where you see the one scene where he's trying to pull it together, but the beginning of that scene where he's like, find me all the structural points.
That was a smart move on his part.
He's smart. He's a smart guy. So I want the strongest points of the boat. And then he goes around and he's shooting them and he's doing like the different types of webbing. Right. And it's like, and the suit's like, good job, Peter. You're 98% on target. He's like, wait, what do you mean? And it's like the one guy like, woo, yes, Spider-Man. And like the web like flings off of it. I'm like, that seems a little weird. I could understand that, it's going to start, falling apart. It's going to be a chain reaction. But I feel like 98% is still a pretty strong percentage.
That is pretty good. And not anything that would make them snap like they did. I would have been like, everybody get on the lifeboats now.
Right. But then, you see that scene as it goes and it like starts falling apart around him. And that's, again, him realizing at the end of that scene, he was there and he kind of saved the day, but because of his inexperience of not wanting to ask for extra help, because he didn't, because even Vulture says at the end of that fight scene with the ferry before it splits is, kid, you don't know what you're dealing with. So instead of grabbing the gun and turning it off or throwing it into the ocean, he just webs it to the ground and it stops. And he's like, okay, I won. And it's like, no, you kind of overheated it.
Yeah, and then it causes the crack, which is a nitpick that I have when Iron Man was saving everybody and fusing the thing together. It's like, these people should be getting on the fucking lifeboats still. Like, that's not going to hold the thing together.
Oh, you mean the fact that even when he...
It should still be sinking.
When he went ahead and saved them all, it basically boiled down to, hey, isn't it great how Iron Man magically got all the water out of the boat?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he pushed the boat together and all the water's out of it. Right. Not even a little bit left. All the cars are gone, but, that whole first level that was sinking, don't worry. Iron Man came, pushed it together. Evidently, all the little rockets were enough to push it together
and hold it together.
And the centrifugal force of the water jetted out, and there's not a drop there.
That's exactly... I feel like Iron Man is a little too hacks at this point. Like, every time there's a situation, Iron Man will have technology for it coming from the sky.
Right. I mean, when you think about it, you see, like, his way of doing it in the beginning. Like, if you go back and watch Iron Man 1... he was inexperienced. He was kind of just blowing stuff up and not, accidental. There's that fight scene with Warmonger. And, he's trying to save the cars and half the cars are still just blowing up around him in the very first Iron Man movie. When he's fighting Jeff Bridges.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. So he's fighting Jeff Bridges and, he's making mistakes. And, now this is a seasoned Iron Man. It's been, almost a decade and a half?
It's been a long time.
Yeah. So, for him as a hero, so that makes sense.
So that he has grown a lot as Iron Man.
Correct. So he's able to do it, and he's able to think slightly faster than Peter is, and all of that. So
he's kind of like the Superman of the Avengers at this point.
Yeah. I think it's interesting the way that you kind of have that contrast, and you see Tony Stark kind of wanting to pass the buck.
Right.
Like, he likes him, it's a young kid, he's smart, he's out there doing what he can do, to the best of his abilities. Tony Stark kind of gave him a suit that was to advance for him, and for some odd reason decided not to give him an owner's manual.
Right, like so that he can actually train how to use the suit and gain experience that way. Instead, he's like, I'm going to put training... Like, I think that Tony's problem in this movie, which Robert Downey Jr. did a really good job in his role, I think that his character's flaw in this was not trusting him enough, and that kind of helped cause Peter Parker to stray away and go off on his own to do his own thing, thinking that he is... well enough, whereas he should have mentored him a little bit more and communicated with him a little bit more.
It's one of those things that he felt like he was doing the best of his ability, you know, as a fellow scientist and wanting to mentor a hero. So he was like, you know, I like this. We're doing a thing. You know, my dad was really distant with me. I want to be here for you. By the way, I can't be here for you all the time, but... And you get it from his other interactions with Peter when he does screw up after the fairy scene, and he's like, you know, yeah, I'm watching you. You don't think I pay attention? I listen to all of your voicemails. You know, I watch the suit. I watch what's going on. Who do you think tipped the FBI? Everybody told me, don't get this crazy dude in sweats from Queens that's floating around.
Yeah.
You know, he's just a dumb kid. But, you know, I believe in you, and, you know, who do you... Yeah, just the whole, like, who do you think told the FBI? You know, I listen, I pay attention. It's like, right. But, you know... There's that whole thing that they're finding now with studies, you know, with kids, is it's not just enough to know that your parents are... You know, to have your parents there at the dinner table and seeing them, but do they acknowledge them? Right? Do you actually know them? And I think that's kind of where he fell flat.
Yeah, and he should have told him that he told the FBI. If he told him that he told the FBI, he probably wouldn't. He probably would have been like, "Oh, okay, good."
Well, and you can almost argue that, you know, he was calling him on the phone, and, you know, like, "Hey, kid, just, you know, I just want to check in. I just want to say you're doing some good work out there." It's like, you know, all right, listen, Tony, that's almost a little too late.
Exactly.
Because all he's seen from you within the last 3 months of, you know, him obviously reaching out for a father figure is a couple phone calls once.
Like maybe once a week, once a month.
Right. And like I said, you do see that Tony cares, because he sends an Iron Man suit when the sensor goes off in the suit that he fell. However, the only reason he fell and almost drowned and had to be saved is because the parachute went off.
Yeah.
Like, and without any warning.
If he had an owner's manual.
Right. If he had an owner's manual, he would have known about the parachute that had a
almost
sensor.
Got him killed.
Yeah, because it was, while he's fighting Vulture, you see the suit flash, it decides to deploy the parachute, which rips him out of the plane and down, and he falls.
Out of Vulture's grasp.
Out of Vulture's grasp. He falls into the water where he can't get free because the parachute's all around him. So it's like one of those things where it's like, why didn't you tell him that there's a parachute? Like,
yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like, he should have communicated with him more. So I think, like, their whole situation kind of contributed to the problem of Peter going rogue, kind of, and not communicating with them what he was doing. And saying, I'm a big kid, I can do big boy things.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like we're complaining a lot, but this movie's so great, we have to find the very few nitpicks that we have to complain about.
Exactly. This movie sucked. Nobody should see it except for everybody.
But yeah, no, it constantly felt like Peter Parker was a teenage kid that didn't know what he was doing, which is honestly a Peter Parker that we haven't seen in the movies.
They handled him very well.
Like, you know, squeaky voice and everything, that's a teenager. You know, I like his
crush on the girl.
Yeah, his crush on the girl, Liz, which...
The dialogue.
Yeah, you know, him kind of stuttering, her knowing that she likes him because he's bad at keeping secrets.
Yeah.
You know.
And that was the thing about this movie, too, was him trying to keep his identity a secret.
Right. I mean, I feel like, and that's my biggest issue with a lot of superhero movies, especially the Spider-Mans. I remember being very angry at the original Spider-Man trilogy, even. Too many people find out who Peter Parker is.
Everybody finds out.
You want to know who at the end of Batman, who knows Batman's Batman?
Alfred.
Alfred. Like, you know, generally two guys. And both of them are extremely trustworthy guys. Not other teenage boys.
Yeah.
Not
Robin and Alfred.
Like, I guess Batman Begins, yeah, you can say Ra's al Ghul, but he knew him before he was Batman.
Exactly.
And Lucius Fox, which is like, oh, yeah, that's a grown man who was able to figure it out. and was like, you know what? I understand. I'm not going to say anything. In fact, the less I know, the better. I don't want to know. He straight up tells him.
That's exactly what I would say. I'd be like, fuck this. I'll make this. Don't tell me a goddamn thing.
Right. Mr. Wayne, I'm not that dumb. I know what you've been doing. It's not that hard to figure out. However, you don't have to worry about me. However, and yet you go to, like, Spider-Man. Oh, he crawls into this room and you see him being super careful. But, you know, he never looked over on the bunk. He never heard his very fat friend breathing heavily. Because you know that kid's a mouth breather.
And playing with Legos.
Right. You know, and then, you know, oh, Falcon's able to figure it out pretty easily. Which, you know, to his credit, the whole time he meets Falcon, because turns out Falcon is his crush's dad.
That was a cool twist.
Right, it was a cool twist, but the whole time he's staring at him, which I feel is very much like what a teenager would do. You know, you could tell he, like, can't take his eyes off of him. And
he's kind of giving it away.
Right, he's kind of giving it away, and then I like how Falcon's able to figure it out.
I like how you keep calling him Falcon.
Technically, in the comics, he was Falcon for a very little bit, if you look it up.
Anyway, so yeah, he kept staring at...
Vulture!
He kept staring at the Falcon, and so yeah, he was giving himself away, staring at the Falcon the whole time, giving himself away.
And Vulture figured it out, you know, because he's Batman.
Exactly.
Michael Keaton was able to figure it out slowly after hearing, you know, like, oh,
his
actually,
voice.
The voice, the monument thing, you know, oh, you weren't at the monument. Well, what about this? Oh, Pete's never there. He always runs. Like, there was the party. And so what about the time at the monument? It must have been scary in that elevator. Oh, actually, I was on the ground. Oh, were you now?
Which was a good alibi or excuse.
Right.
But then she fucked it up by saying, you ran off at the party. And he's like, no, I didn't. Don't. Shh.
Right? Like, I'm being nice and not telling you your dad's an arch villain. But I like the way that he played it off as, listen, kid, you can try to come after me, and I'll kill you, and I'll kill everyone you love, and you know. Or we can go on our separate ways.
That scene in the car, and that scene right there, a lot of really nice tension there. Very good performance from Michael Keaton. I mean Birdman.
The Falcon. Vulture. Damn it! But there's so many good character moments in this movie. You know, like I said, there wasn't a second that I didn't think Peter Parker was a teenager trying to figure out his, you know, going through his stuff, trying to figure out his way through life. You know, you see him doing balancing. And I like that he has the instant out for, like, why he's always going to stuff. It's like, oh, I have the Stark internship. It's like, right, he can't do stuff. He has the Stark internship.
Exactly.
He's constantly doing the Stark internship.
A nice alibi.
Right. It's a nice alibi, and it really reminds me of Batman Beyond, when Terry McGinnis is constantly saying, you know, oh, I work for Mr. Wayne.
Yeah.
I'm his assistant. Like, that's his constant out of, you know, oh, I work long nights. Mr. Wayne must be a dick to keep you working long nights.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, something like that. You know, I like that. That he has the alibi, and everybody respects it. That's the other thing. Everybody respects that alibi.
And they're not all mad at him. They're not overly mad at him for being late. Or even missing the student... What was it called? The decathlon. Like, nobody was super pissed at him.
Right.
And they didn't go off on a big tangent of everybody being mad at him. Sure, they were upset, but it didn't take away from the plot progression or the story at all.
Right, and you did see, you know, the ramifications from that. He got ramifications when he went back to school. He got detention because of it.
Right.
You know, if you bolt and play hooky in the middle of a field trip, guess what's going to happen? The school's going to find out about it, and you're going to get detention for a while.
Yeah, and then he runs out of detention, even.
Right.
And then he gets in the principal's office for that.
Which I like the principal. You can see in the background, you know, his, like, grandfather's medals from World War II, and his grandfather was one of the, you know, Howling Commandos.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I did notice there was a lot of little details in this movie that I can't really remember. But I remember there being little details that they put in there. And you can tell that this film is just generally well crafted.
Yeah, it's, you know, they really put a lot into the background, into into the details, into the little stuff, which really counts with this type of stuff. Because it's not just oh, here's 50 secrets that you didn't realize while watching the movie that goes into it. You can tell the difference between here's random stuff that we kind of put in, like this. Oh, the prop guy had a joke and put this in because he's a big fan, and stuff from like, oh, we're fans too and we want to do it. Here's little things here or there Easter that we eggs. Thought would be cool to put in, not just like, oh, hey, did you know that this guy is obviously a fan of Rock Band because look, there's a Rock Band set in the back. It's like, right, so they needed some stupid props for a teenage room and they threw Rock Band back there.
Right.
Because they were able to get it cheap from the freaking, IKEA catalog.
Or a hip poster like hanging up on the wall of some fresh new band.
Right. So there's a lot of cool backdrop stuff that is really interesting.
Yeah, and speaking of Peter Parker's character, he's obviously, got a really good character arc in this with him thinking, maturing and becoming a greater hero, and then him realizing at the end that, maybe I am not quite ready for these bigger battles. I'm not as experienced as these other guys.
Yeah. You see something in this movie that you don't normally see. I mean, you kind of see in some of the Spider-Man movies, but it's him when he stops being Spider-Man and he goes back to a normal life, and he's kind of happy with it. And really, he's perfectly content just to be a normal high school student again. And it's not until, he's going to Homecoming and he sees, he goes to pick up Liz, and it's her dad's the Vulture. And he's just instantly like, this is back in my life. It didn't feel like it was a forced thing.
It felt natural.
It felt really natural. And then the fact that, obviously something was going to happen that day. Because he even goes to call Happy, to be like, call him, tell him what's going on. What's all this? And, like I said, Vulture figures out that he's Spider-Man and he's like, stay away from this. But
yeah, because Vulture says, I got to go out of town, quote unquote.
Right. And he does it a lot. And all that. So it's one of those things where it's like he gives it up, and it's almost the whole he has to go back into it. He doesn't have to. He was threatened with a gun. His family and loved ones were just threatened. Kind of well known.
This guy needs to be stopped.
Right. He goes to do it because he feels he's the only one that can. And it's without the suit. It's without everything. He literally runs in.
With his old suit.
Yeah, goes with his old suit, gets his buddy to be, to
be the chair guy.
To be the chair guy. It's the whole thing of, you can kind of tell because he dropped his phone in the car to begin with, but, it's going through his mind of, I have to stop this guy. What's the minimum I can do is I can drop my phone in here, I can call Happy, I can tell them to find my phone, and that's where you'll find this guy who's, up to something.
Yeah, and he leaves his girl, his date, there, and they just get there, and he's immediately like, I have to go, I can't just stay here and do this dance.
I can't do this isn't for me.
Yeah, and it's not fair to you either for me to stay here while I'm sidetracked with this stuff, and while your dad is doing all these illegal things that are causing harm to other people.
Right. Well, he doesn't say all that, but basically he's like,
that's basically
I have to go. Yeah. Which I like. So he instantly then goes to his friend, and I thought it was a little weird that Vulture instantly had a guy standing on the back door, because you see,
there's other entrances.
Not 3 minutes go by.
Yeah.
To dropping off Peter, to Peter running out the back door to get hit by
so he immediately
Shocker.
Called the guy, and the guy immediately teleported to the door?
Maybe he was texting him while he was threatening Peter in the car.
Maybe he was gonna just pick up the guy at the school, because he was gonna leave directly to the place after the school.
But it was the whole thing where this guy's up, he knows what's going on. He's all you had to do was wait. Another guy that knows who Peter is.
Yeah, he would have to know. Yeah.
Thinking about that, no, that guy's gotta know too now.
Yeah, because he would have said, yo, if Peter Parker exits this door, kick the shit out of him.
Right, beat him down, don't let him come. So it's a whole thing where it's it's really nice to see a young, experienced Spider-Man, and it's cool to see the few big the trailer scenes, the big moneymaker scenes, you see those in the trailer, but you don't see the leading up to it or the aftermath of it as much,
So
as
the
you
trailers
do in the
didn't
movie.
really give it away like a lot of trailers do.
I mean, you see those things. Those things definitely happen. He definitely is climbing the Washington Tower, and he busts into
Jumping
it.
over the helicopter.
Right, jumping over the helicopter, and that's a big scene. And the ferry scene where he's doing it. But like I said, that lead up into it and the aftermath of it are really good. So it's not just trailer bait where all the good scenes are in it. It's like, I mean, technically those were the more expansive scenes because that end fight scene isn't in the trailers. And
Yeah,
honestly,
I didn't see that in the trailers either.
compared to the other two scenes, it's a smaller scene.
Yeah, I really appreciated that too. It wasn't a giant extravaganza. It was just one versus one. And they were struggling against each other on this plane, trying with their own goals. Vulture just wants to get one of the cases. Spider-Man wants to stop him.
Well, Vulture's willing to take the whole plane, but if he can just get one of them and be happy,
Right, exactly.
then that'll get them going for another month.
And this scene, like the other previous scenes, when he's trying to stop the Vulture, he's still, being the inexperienced Spider-Man that he is, he still ends up fighting, and then the plane, causing the jet engine to crash, and then the plane's gonna crash, but he focuses on saving the crash before, or he focuses on keeping the plane from crashing into a building instead of focusing on getting the Vulture.
Well, he's able to redirect it to Coney Island,
Yes.
where not as many people are on a homecoming eve night, evidently.
Yeah, I guess so.
I have no idea how New York works.
I'm like, oh crap, it's going toward this amusement park. Spider-Man, what are you doing here?
Right?
So going back to Spider-Man's Amazing Friends, his one best friend guy was really cool.
Chair guy.
He's the chair guy. So anyway, when they were at the school, his friend was the chair guy. Finally, he had a character arc with wanting to be Spider-Man's partner and being like the computer guy, the navigator guy, kind of like the Oracle for Batman.
Right. And I think it's funny that Peter Parker is good at science and all-around knowledge. His friend is good at computers.
Coding and like hacking stuff. And,
Right.
Yeah,
he's the computer guy. Peter's the science.
So they make a good team, and it makes sense within this realism. And I like when he's in the school, the teacher walks in on him. She's like, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm looking at porn."
And he's like, I'm just looking at porn.
Like, because what I was thinking was he's gonna say he's gaming or something like that,
No, I love that he jumped straight to porn.
Yeah, me too.
But I like Liz is an okay character.
Liz Allen, I think she was a pretty weak character too in terms of her characterization. She was just kind of the Peter's love interest, the typical love interest, which she did have a tiny bit of development, but it's pretty weak.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. She's a little flat. I liked, his other friend, the female friend, what is it, Michelle?
Michelle, yeah.
Was that it?
AKA MJ.
Right, her friends call her MJ. She has no friends, though, evidently. I liked it, though. I like that she was kind of like the weird loner thing, and I like her things where it's like, Peter's also quit this and this and this. Not that I like him or anything, or stalking him.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Right. Yeah, she was funny. I liked her a lot.
All of the side characters really had good personality. I like you see the guy at the store that gets blown up, just his like little remarks back and forth. Like, yeah. Honestly, the only other one that I thought was kind of weak a little bit was Aunt May. Like, she really did.
She wasn't really in the movie all that much.
She wasn't really in the movie, and then whenever they were talking about her or anything, I mean, you do see her with Peter a little bit, like when he actually gets around to asking out Liz and preparing for the dance, teaches him and everything, and she's there for him throughout the whole thing. But besides everybody just being like, she's pretty hot, look at that hot cougar.
That's kind of all she gets in the movie.
That's all she gets. She really doesn't, I mean, she gets a couple good moments, with talking to Peter. Like, she's like, I know you're going out every night, and I know you're doing this, and, you don't think I don't know that you cut class, and, this whole
That
thing's
was a good
going on.
moment
Tell
for
me
their
what's going on.
characters.
Yeah, it's a really good moment when she, calls him out on all this stuff. And she's like, but I've just been letting you do what you do because you're a good kid and you haven't gotten into any trouble, but you've kind of gone one too far this time. And then he tells her that, I just lost the Stark internship. And she's like, oh, well, now, that kind of explains it. You're going through a rough patch. Not the true reason, but...
Yeah. I mean, it almost seems like his suit's AI kind of takes his Aunt May's place in him, like, confiding in his suit's AI more than his Aunt May.
Right, no, like, his suit's AI, he needs to be careful about that. That AI is coming on a little strong to him.
Hey, ask her out now, right after you saved her from the elevator.
All I thought of when that scene happened was... he's hanging upside down, and it was just that part. I'm like, he's gonna kiss her upside down.
That's what they were doing. They were making fun of Spider-Man 1.
They were making fun of the very
because that's what she says is just kiss her,
right? Which all that popped in my head is that line from "Ode to a Spider-Man" by Weird Al of she prefers guys that kiss upside down in the rain.
Yeah, there was a lot of the humor was done with that AI. I think there was a little bit too much of that AI, as well as like a lot of the humor in general. It was consistent, like tonally throughout the film. It was witty with the dialogue and stuff like that, but it was a little bit too much where it took up like chunks of time from the movie.
Every once in a while, they just did one too many jokes.
Like the anime stuff. Your aunt's hot.
Right. It's like, okay, it was funny the one time. It's funny when Tony Stark does it. And, in the first movie, it's like, okay, yeah, Tony Stark's an old perv, so he's got to hit on Aunt May. And it's kind of funny when you hear the
sandwich guy.
The sandwich guy in Spanish talk to his buddy, like, hey, she's the hot Italian in Queens, she's really hot. And, Peter picks up on it because he can understand Spanish. It's like, oh, by the way, how's your daughter doing back in Spanish? Like, that's a funny give and take. So, but that's an example of them doing it right. Had they gone, like, one more... like later, had it been like later in the movie, you could easily see like the suit throwing in a crack too. It's like, okay, that's unnecessary. That'd be one too many jokes.
Yeah. So most of the time they didn't cross the line where it was too much, but sometimes they did. And I thought that it was kind of hurting the pace of the movie a little bit.
But yeah, all in all, it's really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. I thought it was totally boss.
Wow. A little old there, aren't you? This movie about teenagers.
Hey.
You gotta use a super cool hip teenagers out there. Totes down with the lingo. And this boss movie, it's da bomb.
Hey, like this movie, we're bringing 80s back.
Yeah, this movie soundtrack consisted of 80s pop and rock.
80s pop and rock, and then orchestral themes.
Right. Which I did like the orchestral theme for the Spider-Man theme song that played over at the very beginning.
That was amazing.
I thought it was a really good job that they did. Granted,
really good
job. I do love the original Spider-Man soundtrack where Aerosmith redid the song. And it's like really cool and rocky. Oh, dude, you gotta listen to it.
I'm pretty sure I know which one you're talking about.
I like that one.
It's like Aerosmith. It's Aerosmith, so it's meh.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we can't all be da bomb like Blink-182. They should have redone the song.
They maybe should have. Damn it. Anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.
See ya.
Take it easy.